In a Midwestern city, I was asked to talk with a man, formerly a very active citizen of that community, who had suffered an acute decline in vitality. It was thought by his associates that he had had a stroke. This impression was given by the shuffling manner in which he moved, by an extraordinary lethargic attitude, and by his complete detachment of himself from the activities to which he had formerly given a large portion of his time. He sat dependently in his chair hour after hour, and often he would weep. He exhibited many of the symptoms of a nervous breakdown. I arranged to see him in my hotel room at a certain hour. My door was open, and through it I could see the elevator. I chanced to be looking in that direction when the elevator door opened, and this man came shuffling down the hall. It seemed that at any moment he would topple over, and he gave every evidence of scarcely being able to negotiate the distance. I asked him to be seated and engaged him in conversation, which conversation was rather fruitless, for it revealed little enlightenment because of his tendency to complain about his condition and his inability to give thoughtful consideration to my questions. This was apparently due to his enormous self-pity. When I asked him if he would like to be well, he looked up at me in the most intense and pathetic manner. His desperation was revealed by his answer, which was that he would give anything in the world if he could regain the energy and the interest in life which he formerly enjoyed. I began to draw out of him certain facts regarding his life and experience. These were all of a very innate nature, and many of them so deeply embedded in his consciousness that it was with the utmost difficulty that his personality yielded them up. They had to do with old infantile attitudes, fear that stemmed from earliest days, most of them deriving from the mother-child relationship. Not a few guilt situations appeared. It seemed that over the course of the year, these factors had accumulated like drifting sand across the channel of a river. The flow of power was gradually decreased so that an insufficient amount of energy was passing through. The man's mind was in such a complete state of retreating that a process of reasoning and enlightenment seemed quite impossible. I sought for guidance and found myself, quite to my surprise, standing beside him and placing my hand upon his head. I prayed, asking God to heal the man. I suddenly became aware of what seemed to be the passing of power through my hand, which rested upon his head. I hasten to add that there is no healing power in my hand, but now and then a human being is used as a channel. And it was evidently so in this instance, for presently the man looked up with an expression of the utmost happiness and peace, and he said simply, "He was here, he touched me, I feel entirely different." From this time on his improvement was pronounced, and at the present time he is practically his old self again, except for the fact that he now possesses a quiet and serene confidence which was not present previously. Apparently the clogged channel in his personality through which the passage of power had been impeded was opened by an act of faith, and the free flow of energy was renewed. The facts suggested by this incident are that such healings do take place, and that a gradual accumulation of psychological factors can cut off the flow of energy. The further fact is stressed, and these same factors are susceptible to the power of faith to energy within an individual. The effect of guilt and fear feelings of energy is widely recognized by all authorities having to do with the problems of human nature. The quantity of vital force required to give the personality relief from either guilt or fear or a combination of each is so great that often only a fraction of energy remains for the discharge of the fractions of living. Energy drainage occasioned by fear and guilt is of such an amount as to leave little power to be applied to a person's job. The result is that he tries quickly, Not being able to meet the full requirements of his responsibility, he retreats into an apathetic, dull, listless condition, and is indeed even ready to give up and fall back sleepily in a state of enervation.